My name is Paul Shelley, welcome to the AstroHistorian, and welcome to the lore tours of IAE 2952. Join me on the floor for your tour. It's Misc Day on the floor of IAE. Today we'll go over a brief history of this manufacturer before talking about the lore of the ships on the floor. Remember, if you like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button as we'll be doing a video for every manufacturer during IAE. With that being said, let's learn about the kings of industrial ships from Centauri. Musashi Industrial and Starflight Concern, or Misc, was founded on Persei in the Centauri system in 2805. They were formed from a merger of Utho Electronics and the Musashi Lifestyle Design Unit of Acorn Limited. This merger took advantage of Utho's extensive production facilities and Musashi's reputation for design genius. The main reason for its founding was the formation of their Heavy Industries Division, also known as Misc, to take advantage of the cargo crisis of the 29th century. The company's Heavy Industry Division was key to the early success of Misc, creating ships like the Hull series and the Starfarer, which attracted the attention of the Xi'an and landed them a trade deal for valuable Xi'an technology. Today, the company is known for heavy-duty, industrial, and well-made ships, and ergonomic, modular, and detailed production facilities, both which can be found all over the verse. Let's look at what's on offer from Misc on the floor today. Now, this is slightly confusing as to the dates, but according to lore, the first ship that Misc made was the Hull series in 2802, 3 years before it was formed. This could be because the ship was designed and launched by Musashi Lifestyle Design, but didn't have enough production facilities to keep up with demand, thus the merger with Utho Electronics. Nevertheless, the Hull A, B, C, and D were built as sturdy modular hulls. Their size range allowed just about anyone to purchase the best one for their needs. The fact that each ship is nearly identical, with slight variations as the size increases, made these ships incredibly easy to mass produce. This combination was key to the Hull series' success. The ships were so successful that dockyards and cargo processes began to form around the ship. Several new companies were founded to support this change, and even the Argo MPUV would see a shift to support loading and unloading these freighters. The Hulls nearly single-handedly ended the cargo crisis, though it would take another 70 years to truly abate. In 2820, after nearly 2 decades of success, Misc released the Hull E, the de facto super freighter and king of cargo even to this day. Sadly, we only have the smallest of this series on the floor today, the Hull A. Still, this intro freighter holds an impressive amount of cargo for its size, 64 SCU. This is owed to the unique plates that lock cargo to the exterior. These plates are attached to a spindle that can retract and collapse into the ship itself, allowing the whole series to transform depending on if it's hauling cargo or not. The next ship from Misc is the Starfarer. Built in 2780, this ship was the result of interior research from Misc itself on the major bottlenecks which faced human space expansion. The answer they came up with was fuel transport. Most fuel ships of the late 29th century were massive supertankers, which were very prone to accidents and unable to land on planets, as their fuel tanks were exposed to vacuum. That meant the fuel transport was unreliable and slow. This was especially worrisome for the UAE Navy, who relied on these fuel shipments to keep fighting. Thus, Misc developed their own tanker/refueler with safety in mind, the Starfarer. The main design that separated the Starfarer from its contemporaries was how it held its fuel, with the tanks protected by armor and welded to the superstructure to increase security. It has 2 onboard refineries that, coupled with the massive intakes in the front, allow the ship to collect and process free hydrogen into fuel. All of this, combined with a boom arm for refueling smaller ships on the go, has made the ship very efficient at its role, and a common sight for crews of stranded ships who need a refuel on the go. While initially rejected to build a militarized version of the Starfarer, Misc realized the reason for this rejection was their lack of experience with military contracts, so they turned to another company with extensive experience in this process, Aegis Dynamics, to officially build their military Starfarer to get around government bureaucracy, which worked. This ship would be named the Starfarer and Gemini and enter service in 2915. Swapping out the intake for large missile pods, larger defensive turret, and thicker armor, this ship soon began service along the Vandal front to keep the fighter squadrons in the fight and on patrol longer. The Endeavor was a ship that was wrought with chaos from its onset. Misc set out to build a scientific research and medical ship, and tasked a group of Hull series and Starfarer designers to create the design. However, both teams had a hard time agreeing on the design, so instead of a single ship, they built a frame and several modules to swap out depending on the need of the customer buying the ship. This makes it really several ships in one, with the base being 3 separate stages: the Explorer Cab, the Workshop, and the Drive, along with traditional modules able to be added on. Of these, there are biodomes, service and crew quarters, general research, general science, medical bay, and landing bay. With the success of the Starfarer, Misc managed to get the attention of the Xi'an, who were impressed with the forward-thinking and planning of Misc. Thus, representatives from Aopoa approached him to offer a trade in 2910. The Xi'an would get the plans for the whole series and some of its design tech, along with human engineers and pilots to teach him how the ship worked, and Misc would get Xi'an thruster designs, parts, and assistance from scientists on loan from Aopoa. The resulting trade would help boost the development of the next ship of Misc's fleet, the Freelancer. Built in 2915, this smaller line of space pickup trucks allowed for the average person to get their hands on the now legendary Misc brand. The added bonus being the addition of Xi'an thruster tech into the ship itself. The base Freelancer has 66 SCU of cargo, 4 size 3 gimbaled weapons, a crew of 1 to 3, and crew quarters to support 4 people. The addition of Xi'an tech made the ship's engines hyper-efficient and gave the ship an impressive range for its size. This same aspect of the ship allowed Misc to develop other purpose-built variants of the Freelancer, including the Long-Range Explorer Der, which has gone on to discover many jump points, the militarized Misc, which added 2 size 5 missile racks built into the fuselage, and the Heavy Cargo Max, which doubles the cargo capacity. Following the success of the Freelancer, Misc began to work on Project Cold Boot, a study on what role-specific ships they could build using the same factory lines as the Freelancer. This would lead to the Prospector in 2925, which, while not using the Freelancer base hull, borrowed heavily from its design, so any Freelancer pilot would instantly feel at home behind the controls. While not being able to carry bulk storage or processing like other mining vessels, the Prospectors become the default beginning ship for any miner in the verse. The Prospector has a crew of 1, a size 1 mining laser, a powerful scanner, living quarters, detachable saddlebags, and 2 size 1 weapons for defense. The ship would gain fame when one of the first prospectors would discover the Chessex Lode, a massive discovery of previously ignored raw materials on Farron II, which made the pilot, Chloe Rasnick, a fortune overnight. This would boost the sales of the ship dramatically as a result. The Expanse is the end result of follow-up surveys of Prospector owners. The owners cited the small cargo capacity and the reliance they had on third-party refining sites as being the major issue that held them back from being able to advance beyond their Prospector into more efficient multi-crew mining ships. Thus, the Expanse was built explicitly to pair with the Prospector as a minor investment that could greatly increase the profitability of smaller mining operations. The Expanse follows the Misc standard layout theory with adaptations for movement and transfer of ores, which is done externally via tractor beams. The ship's 6 dedicated reactors can process different refining actions at the same time, and even refine salvage material and scrap into usable commodities. The Reliant is the ultimate fusion of Xi'an design and human ingenuity. It began life as Project Boomerang in 2946, after being buoyed by the successful ad campaign around the latest generation of Freelancer, noting how many pilots were looking for smaller, single-person starter ships. This would lead to the Reliant, built explicitly to compete with other introductory ships like the Mustang and the Aurora, with the twist of it being able to be operated by 1 or 2 crew, unlike the other starters which are exclusively solo-operated. This ship is covered in Xi'an technology, from its moving cockpit, omnidirectional thrusters, and advanced Xi'an metal composites. The ship comes with 4 versions, with the standard being the Kore, a hauler which carries 6 SCU of cargo. The Mako is the News Van variant, which has state-of-the-art image enhancement suite and turret-mounted optics and a bespoke broadcasting equipment. The Sen is the Science and Explorer variant, with its onboard scanner suite and increased scanner resolution and range over other ships of its type. The last variation is the Tana, a fighter built with extra weapons. The Razor is part of one of the oldest running designs in Misc history. Initially began by CEO Corey Desmond as a project to expand out of exclusively heavy industrial ships in 2883, its first incarnation was the Misc Daedalus, which participated in the first Murray Cup on green, but did not win. After the deal with Aopoa in 2910, Misc revisited the idea to develop what would become the Misc Razor in 2940. This would initially lead to the release of the ship in 2947, when the Razor managed a Murray Cup berth. The key to the Razor's success is the Proteus system, a cutting-edge fuel collection system which allows the ship to boost quicker with the aid of Xi'an technology. It's also one of the fastest ships in the verse, while also having minor protection with 2 size 2 hardpoints. With its release in 2947, the Razor was also given two variants. The LX is an overclocked engine version of the ship, which trades in maneuverability for straight-line speed. The EX is a stealth variant, which has seen use by the Advocacy for surveillance and extraction operations and is covered in signature-reducing materials and equipped with stealth components. The last offering from Misc is the Odyssey, a flying station first introduced at IAE 2951. It was made for two reasons. The first being the increased sales and interest in civilian exploration after the success of the civilian Carrack model, and the second was to correct the botched launch of the Endeavour. The Odyssey focuses on better overall defense than the Endeavour, but built around the same focused pod design philosophy of the Starfarer. The unique part of this ship is its mining and refinery equipment, which can be used in tandem with its exploration features, allowing a 6-person crew to not only chart new stars, but also begin taking advantage of its resources. That's what's on offer here on the Misc floor of IAE 2952. Make sure to come down and check out all the ships on the floor for free for a limited time. If you haven't already signed up for Star Citizen, then use the referral code on screen now or in the description to sign up for free and try them yourself. I'd like to thank you for watching and remind you to subscribe for more videos of the floor of IAE 2552. And if you enjoyed the video, think about leaving a like. If you really want to help out the channel, think about becoming a YouTube member or Patreon. For now, let me know your thoughts on Misc in the comments below. And as always, remember, Ex Historia ad Astra.